I came across a video where a gentleman who I listen to often by the name of Dr. Umar Johnson appeared to be addressing some white supremacists who felt that they were better than black people. I want to take the moment, as I always do and I will always do, to give Dr. Umar Johnson some flowers. Dr. Umar Johnson, aka King Kong Consciousness, is a Pan-Africanist, political scientist, certified school psychologist, scholar, and author, and much more. He speaks to the inequalities and mistreatment that black people face. I admire his passion, and watching Dr. Umar during debates, I observed that he's a good listener, and he seems to really try to understand different perspectives, and I appreciate that about him. So in this video, Dr. Umar Johnson responded with a series of questions and comparisons surrounding genetics, physicality, intelligence, and spirituality that highlighted the excellence of black people. When it came to genetics, Dr. Umar Johnson simply asked the white supremacists, if you are better genetically, how come you can't duplicate yourself? Then he moved over to the physical. And I'm not putting this in the exact order that it went. I'm just highlighting some of what was said. You can go check the video out for yourself. He moved on to the physical and he said, if you are more physically superior, then how come almost every sport people of African descent excel in? Dr. Umar's response was empowering, and I feel like his rebuttal would dismantle any white supremacist. Dr. Umar also suggested that he's not claiming to be more superior than anyone, but since the white supremacists made their claim, he wanted to ask the questions. But before I get into what I want to expand on, I want to give a disclaimer. This is in no way, shape, or form a challenge or diss toward Dr. Umar Johnson. This is more of a piggyback with a left turn into a different perspective. I noticed that we get so hung up on origins, arguments that the original man was black and from the continent of Africa, how black people built this country, about the many contributions, documentaries about how we were the original Hebrews and how our land, culture, food, music, and swag was stolen. We get into these arguments with white supremacists who we know are just stupid, misguided, ignorant idiots. For what? We get into these arguments with these ignorant white supremacists who we know are just stupid and misguided. We've been pointing these things out for years. We have been talking about who we are for years. They know who we are. The science has always been in the lab. They know. Is it that we don't want to lose ourselves again? Is it a pep talk? Are we just reminding ourselves because we were stripped of our culture? Is it because of the shorthand we get in this country? The microaggressions, the lack of justice, the inequalities. Okay, the original man was of African descent. We are the most intelligent. We excel in sports, cook the best food, beautiful skin, gorgeous, stellar engineers, authors, mathematicians, inventors, the best innovators, and I can infinitely go on. And so, besides feeling good that the creator of all gave me the melanin, what is the constant rehashing about a phenomena that we had nothing to do with? Yes, be proud of who God created you to be, but remember, you had nothing to do with it. You had no hand in it. Let's not be so egotistical and arrogant about the blessing of being of African descent, of being black, that we take credit for something we had no say in. Yes, if I woke up tomorrow morning and I was of a different ethnicity, I would be distraught because I love being me. I love being black. But more importantly, what now? After all the rehashing and reminding, what now? There are so many injustices, so much more action to be taken, so many laws to rewrite, schools to build, emotional intelligence to teach. Yes, knowing where you come from is essential and it's inspiring, but the journey forward was always the purpose. I get that sometimes all we feel like we can do is speak, and yes, words have power. I get that sometimes all we feel like we can do is speak, and yes, Words have power. But what can we do as everyday people? People without a platform, without a huge bank account, without a team of people, without a lot of time, with kids to raise, without a lot of energy, with an everyday 9-to-5 job, with a disability, with a bad back, with a bad ankle, with high blood pressure, with diabetes. What can we do? We watch from our televisions and listen from our radios, and we feel at times powerless. But I was wondering, if we all could commit to doing at least one thing a month, can we push us forward? Can we push us into the next dimension? If we all buckle down and put our money where our mouth is, can we make a change? I think we can. We need to make a dent, leave a mark. My question to the listeners is, as we get into the New Year's, whether you are African American or someone of another ethnicity who wants to join in the fight, I'm asking you to think of 12. One thing per month. 12 things you can do to fight some of the injustices and inequalities that black people face. These 12 things, whether small or big, need to leave a ripple effect. They need to be impactful. You need to be able to collect evidence that you made a change, that you made a dent. Yes, you can still speak and post and state your opinion, but I need us to do something more. I need all of us to act, because we are a many things. We know this, but together we are powerful, unstoppable. So the remainder of this episode will be dedicated to talking about how to formulate your 12. What should you call your 12? The 12 deadly weapons? The 12 flames of justice? Name your 12. Look for my next segment where I go into how we can formulate our 12 and how I later talk about how to execute our 12. Let's not get hung up on why we can't. Let's focus on what we can do. No matter how small it is, we can make an impact.